In this slideshow today, we're going to talk a little bit about MLQ and TDQ protocol, which is a writing response procedure that will help ensure that you are able to address all parts of a question fully and completely, not only this year, but for years to follow. So first thing is, what is an MLQ? MLQ stands for multi-layered question. A multi-layered question is any question or prompt that has more than one part. So MLQs ask you to respond to more than one question and or may require you to complete more than one task. For example, this question here, what communities are you a part of? What is your role? How do you contribute to them? Explain using plenty of details from your own life experiences in your response. You can see just from looking at the question itself. There's a clue here. There's more than one layer to this question because it has, pardon me while I go back for a moment, a number of different question marks here. So you have 1, 2, and 3. So right there, that indicates to you that you're being asked to answer more than one question within this response. The last thing you'll see down here, this statement down here, starts with the word explain. So you'll see again, that's another directive. That's something else that you are asked to do. So this is a great example of an MLQ. It's a question that asks you more than one thing and requires you to complete more than one task. A TDQ. A TDQ is a text-dependent question. When a question is text-dependent, it means that it requires you to go back and reread portions of a text or any piece of writing in order to answer it. Oftentimes, TDQs are also multi-layered. So here's an example of a TDQ. It says, what is a central idea or theme of all the places you'll go? In other words, what is Seuss's message about life? Why do you think this is the message? Explain using details from the text to support your answer. Again, like our last example, you see there's a number of different question marks here, right? So that indicates that there's going to be more than one question in this writing response, or that is the expectation. You also, again, at the bottom here, see that statement, that explanation statement that is giving you that task requirement that you have to elaborate and use details. In this case, however, the difference between just an MLQ and a TDQ is that this is asking you about a specific text. Okay, it's asking you to use details from that text to support your answer. So while a multi-layered question may ask you about your opinions and ask you to explain or maybe provide examples from your own experiences, a TDQ asks you specifically about one or more texts that you need to explore. The last piece of this puzzle is a protocol. So what does protocol mean? Protocol is a noun, and it is a procedure or system of rules. So it's an established set of rules or a specific way of doing something. Therefore, MLQ and TDQ protocol is simply the rules, the specific steps or rules that you follow when completing multi-layered text-dependent questions. So let's look at what this protocol entails. It says up here, when faced with completing text-dependent questions and multi-layered questions, you should always do the following. So the first thing you have to do, and it's here, you need to read carefully. You need to slow down and make sure that you really read the question fully. You might want to read it one time through and then go back and read it again. During that second reading, you should underline the MIPs, so the most important parts of the question. The key words are the MIPs. So these are the words that give you the most important or crucial information. They're the words that tell you what you have to do and or how you have to answer a specific question. And we'll take a look at that down here. So here's that Dr. Seuss example again. You have the question, that first part of the question is, what is the central idea or theme of Oh, the Places You'll Go? And you can see the what, central idea, and theme, and Oh, the Places You'll Go have been underlined. The what tells you what it is you're asked to do, right? You have to identify. It tells you what you have to identify here, the central idea or the theme. And then, of course, the text that you are identifying it for, and that is Oh, the Places You'll Go. The next piece, in other words, what is Seuss's message about life? We've underlined Seuss's message about life because this is essentially what a theme or central idea is. And this question is giving you more crucial information about how to identify properly the theme. Next, Why do you think this is the message? We've underlined why, you think, and message. Because essentially, it's asking you to provide, and you'll see down here that specifically you're supposed to do that, explain why you think this is the message. So you have to first identify the message about life from this specific text, then say why it is the message, and then further explain or elaborate using details from the text to support your answer. Notice we've underlined details, text, and support your answer. That last piece is very important because you're being told to use details that support the answer only. If you use details that do not support the answer, you're not actually fulfilling the requirements of the task. So this last piece here is extremely important as well. The second step of the protocol is to number the layers of each question. So if you're taking a look at a multi-layered or TDQ question that also has multiple layers, you want to identify and number each directive or requirement that the question poses. Essentially, you want to break down and identify how many parts you need to answer, how many things you need to do in order to answer the answer the question properly and fully. So you want to look closely and you want to number each of the things that you have to answer or do. So here's that example again of the question. You'll see after this first question, what central idea and other places you'll go, we put a number 1. Because the first thing the question's asking you to do is identify the central idea or theme. You'll notice here too, after these underlined pieces of this question, Seuss's message about life, we've put the number 2 because you need to ensure that when you are talking about the theme, that you're talking about the message about life. So that is also a requirement. It's sort of an offshoot of the first requirement, but still it's important to identify and make sure that you've done that properly. The third thing that you're asked to do is explain why you think this is the message. And so you have the 3 following that. And then you have explain, because the fourth thing you need to do is explain why. And then, of course, the details from the text to support your answer is that final requirement. So you've identified that as 5. The third thing that you have to do when completing this protocol is you have to look at the question and you have to craft a response that attempts to address all of the layers, the most important parts of the question. You want to make sure that you rephrase the questions in your answer. Okay, so you see the question here again. What is central idea, right? The message about life. Why do you think this? Use details from the text explaining. So let's take a look at how one would possibly craft a response. Rephrasing a question simply means taking the question and turning it into a statement to start your response. So instead of writing up here, this is the question, what is the central idea or theme? You would start by stating the central idea or message of other places you'll go is. And that is sort of how you would rephrase that one there. It says, the central idea or message of the places you'll go is that you'll go far in life if you work hard and push through difficulties. Okay, so we have that piece there. I think this is the message because the story says bad things happen in life, but you can't sulk or wait around for it to get better. You have to push forward, face your problems, and keep going. If you do this, you will find success. Okay, so this is the first crafted response to this 5-layered question, attempting to answer each of the pieces and the MIPs that have been underlined. Once you've crafted a response, you need to complete the 4th step, which is to look back at the question and search your response for each layer. Okay, you then have to identify or annotate all the layers of the question. In other words, make note of where the requirements have been met. So you want to circle, star, and highlight any layers that are missing. So what you have to do is you have to go back and look at that question, and then you have to search your response and write down, enumerate, identify where you've met each requirement. Okay, we'll talk about this point in just a second. So, the first sentence, the central idea or message of other places you'll go is that you'll go far in life if you work hard and push the difficulties. So you can see here that this fulfills the requirements of the first and second layers here. You've identified the central idea, right? The message is that you'll go far in life if you work hard and push the difficulties, right? And you've ensured that you've identified a message about life, right? And this certainly is a life message, right? So that means you've satisfied requirement or layer number 1 and layer number 2. Looking to the next sentence, it says, I think this is the message because the story says bad things happen in life, but you can't sulk or wait around for it to get better. You have to push forward, face your problems, and keep going. If you do this, you will find success. Okay, so if you look up here, it says that these two sentences satisfy layers 3 and 4, and they do. They satisfy layer 3. It says